Hi everyone, and welcome to this latest update on the new features and improvements that we've done for AI in Umbraco. My name is Bolette, and I'm joined by Matt, lead developer on AI in Umbraco. Hey Matt.
Hello.
Hi. So if you're new to AI in Umbraco, I would recommend you to take a look at the Winter Keynote that you find on YouTube, because at the Winter Keynote we launched several AI initiatives, AI in Umbraco being one of them. But that was a month ago, and many things have happened since that. So we're here today to give you a brush up on the new things that we added and the improvements that we've done since. So one of the things that we've done is that we now have moved AI into its own section in the back office. So why don't we start there? Matt, do you want to show us that?
Yeah, one thing. When we log into the back office now, whereas before we had AI in the settings section, we now have a brand new AI section with all of the core features and the add-ons that are available. And I think this just gives a much more central place where we can manage all of the AI features, and also potentially helps with things like permissions. So we're not tied by the settings section. We can allow people into a dedicated AI section. And it also helps from an organization perspective, so it's much clearer now what are the core features that are all kind of grouped together, and all the add-ons can get kind of grouped together as well in the menu.
Yeah, it looks good. I really like that it has its own section, because it's very much aligned with when you add other HQ packages or community packages into your back office. It comes up nicely there at the top. But moving AI is not the only UI improvements that we've done. We also added a few things, UI improvements and features to what we call prompts, which is one of the add-ons that you see here. So an HQ package that we built on top of Umbraco.ai. So what's new here?
Sure. So the primary one is that we've now got the option to say that we can return multiple options. So before we would just have a single option, but now we can say we want to return multiple options and say how many, up to a maximum of 5. So from a content perspective, we can choose one of the prompt options, and here when we ask it to generate, then we should get 3 options that we can choose from. So here you can see we've got multiple options, and we can choose the one that we want to use, and we can insert that into our content as we could before.
I really like that. I'm always curious to what will AI suggest. So I'm only having one option. I was always regenerating just to see what else it would come up with. So I really like the options that you can put multiple in here, and then you get all the suggestions at the same time. That was a few things for prompt. We also made some updates to what we call agents. But just briefly, can you just explain what are agents within Umbraco back office?
Sure. So where prompts allow us to run like a specific action and have a single kind of response back, agents have much more power. So we can prompt them, we can hold conversations with them, and they have the ability to run tools and run actions on your behalf. So they can do just much more powerful than prompts.
Yeah. And what are the things that we added to this? There is something about permissions and how
Yeah.
agents act within the back office that we introduced.
Yeah, so the new feature that we've added is all around permissions and security, and specifically around the tools themselves. So yes, we can define a lot of tools, but we want to make sure that only the right people can execute those tools. As I say, these can perform actions on your behalf, so we really want to make sure that that's secure. We're still working on the tools, but we wanted to make sure that we've got the permission system up first. So now we have these toggle boxes similar to permissions in the user settings section, where you can toggle on different scopes. And scopes are just like an organizational mechanism, so we can group together everything to do with content, we can group together everything to do with media. It just makes it a little bit easier that we can manage permissions at the scope level.
Yeah.
But if you want to, you can add individual tools, so you can say set specific permissions, but then allow a very specific tool as well. And nicely as well, we've also got user group permission override. So we can say for a particular group of people, you want to be able to say, well, we want to deny this particular rule for that user, or we can add another rule, or we can add explicit tools as well. So we can really control in a fine-grained manner what kind of features people are able to use.
Yeah, that's really smooth. And when you then use an agent within the back office, we added that they are more context aware of where they're being used, right?
Yeah, so the next thing we've added is from an availability perspective, we can set kind of scoping rules to say when and where this agent is actually be able to used within the back office. So very similar to the prompt system. So this was already in prompts, but we've now got it on agents as well. So we can control which section and which entity types this kind of agent works towards. And how that works is within content. If we go to our Copilot, in our little menu at the bottom, we have a list of different agents that we can have access to. You can see here we've only got two, so we've got Content Assistant and Legal Specialist.
Yeah.
But if we were to navigate to the media section and see what agents we've got available, we've only got a Media Assist option. So you can see here that it's dynamically choosing or making available different agents depending on where you are within the back office. Additionally, on top of this, we now also have this option, which is an auto agent. So it can be tricky to kind of decide which particular agent you want to use for a purpose. So we can now use an auto agent, and based upon what you provide as a prompt, it will try and choose the best agent for that. So for example, if we just say generate a title for this page, so this is much more of a general prompt that we're asking, and you can see here that it's chosen to use the Content Assistant for that. But if we would say, where does this content stand on a legal basis?
Yeah.
Then we should see that this will then trigger our legal specialist. So you can see that it's choosing the right agent from the particular prompt that we're giving it.
That's really nice, because even though you might not have this controlled or have chosen to control this with permissions, you still have agents that suit whatever need that you're asking for, so you don't end up with a, say, potential much more creative marketeer focused agent to work with you on your more legal and compliance stuff. So that's really nice. Super cool feature. Then we also added a new feature to Umbraco.ai, the core package, something about tests and evaluation.
Yep, sure. So this is still in, so this is still in kind of active development. So we're hopefully finishing this off soon. But in here, we've now got a new test section. And this is basically allowing us to run what is known as evaluation. So we can run tests against our prompts and make sure that they're doing what we want them to do. So as an example here, I've got a test defined. We can say what we want to test, so this particular prompt, and then we've got different configurations. So we can say which profile do we want to use to kind of test against. We can choose overriding context if we want to push particular contexts in, and say how many times we want to run a test. And then we have the ability to create mock data. So we're going to run this against some piece of content, so we can mock that and provide an example of a piece of content that we want to run this against to get a reliable kind of output from it. From here, we can also define variations. So variations allow us to run the same test against different configurations. So maybe we want to test against a different chat profile, so we can try and see which one is a better response, or maybe cheaper response, or maybe just uses less tokens to do the same thing. But we can override pretty much everything here. So we could change the context, we can change the actual mock that we're providing, and configure various different options that we want to try against. And then we have scoring mechanisms. So we want to be able to say when we run a test, how do we evaluate what it actually does and whether it meets our criteria. So in here we have what are called graders, and these are pluggable things, so we can add more graders. Users can add graders as well, and these are just basically rules that we can execute. So whether we want to look for an exact match, whether we want to look for a piece of content somewhere in the response, or even down to being able to use the LLM itself to act as a judge for that piece of content and provide a response. So all of these provide some kind of configuration that we can just populate, and then we have a series of graders made available. So that defines the test, and then we have this running dashboard which shows us all the previous runs that we've executed. So whenever we do a test run, we get an entry in here. We can click in to see the details, see whether it passed. So this scored 100%. We can see the output from the different graders, whether they were successful or if they weren't, why they weren't. And we can also see the full transcript of what was executed for that particular test. In addition, we also have the concept of a baseline. So when we get a result that we're happy with, we can kind of flag it and say, well, this is the one that we want to compare everything else against in the future. And when we do that, then in our compare dialog, then we can see the current run and compare that against our baseline to see, has it improved? Has it kind of got worse? And we can just really go into detail about how that compares. And then finally, when we have different variations, these are all grouped within an execution. So you can see here, all these four were all part of one execution. And so we can go into an execution and we can see the details of what was kind of tested within that group. And then within that group, see which one of those was kind of the best one out of them all. So really just being able to kind of drill into our prompts and our agents and make sure that they're doing what we want them to do, and make sure that we can, as changes occur, as models come out, we can make sure that things are still consistent as we go along.
Yeah, well, it's super nice, and it really speaks into organizations have fully control and to be able to supervise and overlook whenever they take in new LLMs or use new models, to have these data available and to be able to test which agents not just maybe is the fastest or the cheapest, but also delivers the outcome, the output that you need for your organization. So one thing is control, but another thing is also really to be subjective about what is best for my project here. So that's it's a super cool feature. I like that, and that's out soonish. Within a couple of weeks, you'll be able to use this function in Umbraco.ai package.
Yep.
Awesome, Matt.
So no, so we're pretty close. So we're just finishing off with some light UI tweaks. So yeah, it'll be out fairly soon.
Nice. Okay, we have a few things also that we want to mention that we built since we launched AI in Umbraco, but not necessarily have something visual.
Yeah, so we've got Umbraco Deploy, so that allows us to run Umbraco AI in cloud environments or on-premise if you're using Umbraco Deploy. That just allows you to transfer configuration between environments. We've also got a bunch of notification events that we've added in there, so very similar to content. So if you want to respond to entities being saved or deleted, things like that, you can do that. And you can also use notification event handlers to listen for prompts being executed or agents being run. So again, you can just another entry point where you can extend upon. We've also had field validation, so in the Winter Keynote one, we didn't have any validation on all the forms, but now we do. So everything that is required will kind of stop you from saving until you enter that data. We've updated the OpenAI provider to now use the responses endpoint. We've also got an update to the Microsoft Foundry provider that's coming out soon as well. So that's been rewritten to work with Entra ID. So that's a positive update on that as well. And then just various other UI updates as well. So we've got a tip-tap integration as well for the prompts and various other little bits that we've got coming up as well.
Yeah. Wow, so much. And it's only been a month. You work so fast and so efficient. It's super cool to see. And everything that you've seen today here is open source and free of use. So some of the features are coming very soon. So if we meet again in a month or two to do another feature update, what do you hope to see have been added to AI in Umbraco or from the ecosystem that has been added?
Yeah, I think it would just be really nice to see from the community, see it start being integrated into things. So there's a lot of different packages that were on the marketplace already. So it'd be really cool to see how Umbraco AI could be used as a basis for that. Obviously, the core of Umbraco AI is all the like bits that you don't want to wire up every time.
Yes.
So that's a really good foundation for other people to build upon. So it'd be really nice to see that. I know there's various different hackathons and things coming up, so hopefully
There
people
is.
can have a play around with that. And yeah, I'd just love to see what people come up with on top of it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And some is already out there starting. We see examples being showed on social medias, people building on top. But we just love to see also the existing packages tapping into Umbraco.ai. Awesome. And as you mentioned, there are several AI hackathons arranged from our developer relation department inside Umbraco HQ. So if you follow them on SoMe, I'm sure you will be notified when an AI hackathon is coming up near you. That's pretty much everything we had, but that was also a lot. Thank you for joining, Matt, and we'll come back a later time. See you then.
Yep.
Bye.
No problem. Bye.